Alex Hanser here with a geopolitical update and report for April 24th, 2017. I'm going to cover a lot of information in a short span of time. If you feel like contributing to these podcasts and to these reports, there is donation information available at alexhansery.tv. I need your support. Independent content creators need your support. They're definitely coming after the independent, not only commentator on world affairs, but the independent content creator, whatever it is. I'm focused on surviving this backlash. So we're going to cover a number of different headlines today over the course of the next 10 or 15 minutes. With regards to World War III concerns and geopolitics, let me summarize this the best that I can, then we'll get started with the news. There are World War III visionaries that I believe. There are World War III analysts that are looking at some accurate information. There are also people that are in denial. They're seeing how Trump is tied in with China. They're seeing the Trump-Russia connection or connections with Saudi Arabia. And they're going, wait a minute, we're not going to have a world war because they're all really good friends. I think they're overlooking mad. I think they're overlooking the possibility of a depopulation agenda. It's hysterical, and it would be funny if it wasn't so tragic. These are conspiracy theorists, yet they're unable to see a depopulation agenda. Something controls these nation states. We live in a day and age where the very words that I'm sharing with you are being transcribed. You can actually, as you're listening to this podcast, whether you knew it or not, you can copy the words from the closed caption box area, just click down below. And if you want to be notified, by the way, of all my new uploads, click the little bell just to the right of the subscribe icon on my channel. In case you didn't know that already, that is the new way in which I keep up to date with certain channels, so I know exactly right away when they upload something, I click the bell. If I don't want to be uploaded or updated, if I don't want to be told about certain channels when they upload something right away, then I'm not going to click on the little bell. So that's one way you can stay up to date. So we're going to talk more and more about how they armed North Korea. So what's happening now with North Korea is staged. This was actually discussed by myself and others in previous years in 2013 and in previous situations to where it appeared that North Korea was going to attack the United States then, or fire off one of their missiles that they then said could strike the United States. I think that if something happens, that it's meant to happen, it's being done with technology that the West, as well as China, but China got a lot of their technology from the West. So the West seems to be the source. To get a little bit specific, we can talk about Donald Rumsfeld and ABB, the board he was on, Military Industrial Complex Central, and this report came out in 2003. That we can learn about China and Russia and their connections to North Korea. And the picture becomes a little bit more clear once you do the homework and you realize, wait a minute, this whole North Korea thing didn't come out of nowhere. This situation has been building and building. But yet we're given this comic book, Team America reality version of events that an angry Korean, Kim Jong-un, at one point is Kim Jong-il. So we literally go from one comic book type character, very Dr. Evil. So people can look at that and go, wait a minute, they're not planning to have a war. There will be no World War III. Well, on one level, there is not a genuine war between the West and the East. But there really are conflicts in which human beings are baited into. There really are 9/11 style events where groups are actually blamed for something that they never actually did, and then millions are slaughtered. It's what we've seen over the course of the last decade in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and other countries. This is devastating. See, these are the things that YouTube doesn't want discussed. There's a reason why I backed up my channel. There's a reason why in 2013 I predicted a Google YouTube doomsday, but the YouTube channel website, to be specific. More than likely by 2020, more than likely caused by the Chinese, more than likely to remove sensitive information that they don't want, and B, for people to report on troop movements within the United States in real time. At that point, there's probably going to be ways in which they can target any website and ways in which they will. So there's a reason why you should back up your channel. There's a reason why we should be reporting on what's going on more than ever. And to do so in the face of the danger to our channels, to our websites. Now they're talking about actually disappearing people, removing them from the search engines. My future is in direct relation to audience support at 16 cents a day, $4.95 per month at outsidethebox.vhx.tv. For now, I'm not going to be doing a video. I'm doing this podcast for free on the YouTube channel. I wanted you to know where I stood on the situation with North Korea. It is a convenient distraction. These people are tied together. We are seeing a new world order deceive the world. But I wouldn't be so assumptuous and naive to assume that they wouldn't dupe people into going out and hurting other people. There may not be a real, genuine global world war between the East and the West, but to engineer events to where you have UN peacekeeping troops led by the Chinese or Russians to go into an area and quell the resistance, it does seem that they are working together to oppress the people of the world. And at one point in the future, the American people. Now that's a little bit different of a scenario than World War III. That's like a global takeover and taking American sovereignty with it. So now let's discuss what's in the news. The United States has released a video of a shocking ICBM test in a warning to North Korea. And this test took place in California. California happens to be a target of North Korea. Why are they doing this in California? Now, there's a number of targets that North Korea has made public with regards to the United States, and not just San Diego near military targets, but Louisiana as well. Do you really think that the U.S. military has really lined themselves up to be ultimately technologically superior when you know about China having the monopoly on the rare earth minerals? The argument actually doesn't make very much sense. That the United States corporation, if you will, is doing everything really to benefit the United States. We could see a situation where they allow the attack, or on another level, the United States is duped into a war that it's not going to be able to fund itself. You think China is going to fund a U.S. war with China or North Korea? I actually see, though, that there is propaganda out there to pacify people. Oh, look at this. It's Chinese President and Donald Trump. They're friends. There's nothing to worry about. In another headline, Russia pulls half its fighter jets from Syria. And this is an unexpected development, raising concerns about something big potentially happening in Syria. This is after the recent strikes. Both the United States and Russia are claiming victory over ISIS. And so, of course, people that believe what they're told, they're not really worried. They're like, well, isn't Donald Trump working well with the Russians? Aren't they taking out the terrorists? Ladies and gentlemen, there's not really any hope for people to just assume all the people being killed in the Middle East are terrorists. There's not really much you can say to them to get them to tap into what should already be there in their intuition. We're not being told the truth by the media and these misleaders. Beginning and end of story. How do people now look to Trump and look to Putin? Not any different than those looking to Obama. How do they live with themselves? How do they avoid the facts that there seems to be a mutual assured destruction global depopulation agenda behind World War III? Here's Putin. He says that the North Korean situation has seriously deteriorated. The comments were made during a visit with Japan's prime minister. Not only did I call Donald Trump as a selection, but that the relations with Russia would turn cold. Right now, they're just in the stage of turning cold. Don't you think for a second that they've turned ice cold. They're doing things slowly. They're moving the compass, the reality, the consensus reality, the script in the third World War, where the victor's already been decided. They are moving it slowly and incrementally. Yes, it's a grand chessboard. The moves on those chessboard are scripted. Few on the planet are even looking at this from this wider lens perspective. I've been talking about this perspective, sharing it. I may not be the best speaker. I may not make the best videos, but I've been honest with you. I've been consistent with you. That's why I show you periodically videos and things that I wrote in the past. So you understand what I've been discussing all these years. You may not agree with those statements. You may be in opposition to those statements. You have that right. I'm not running a cult. You can be in disagreement, but you're still going to be exposed to the fact that I made those statements, that I called Donald Trump as the president, and that instead of him bringing the world peace, he's going to destroy American image just like Alex Jones. All right, China is considering tighter sanctions on North Korea. This is what is being presented, and people are using headlines like this to say that Donald Trump has some sort of influence over China, which is a farce. I believe that's a farce. I believe that is a poor argument to make for relaxing and saying World War III isn't really going to happen, because there really are people in the Middle East now that are being killed, whether you're aware of that, whether you're monitoring that, whether you care, whether you even care. And so you have all these people saying war's not going to happen, this isn't going to happen, but there already are millions of people being removed off the planet. What did they do that was so wrong? To be born in the wrong place, wrong country, the wrong time, this current modern era, and to be, taken out by a drone strike. How was that not the end of their world? While someone else in another part of the world experiences prosperity with a good drink and a good cigarette as the casino, as they play their cards, bing, 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 as they gamble with their lives in some way, shape, or form in this Americult. Trump is sitting down with 100 U.S. senators to attend a rare White House briefing on North Korea. Read the full report from Mark Slavo from Activist Post. With the U.S. naval fleet set to arrive off the North Korean coast this week, and the rogue state leader Kim Jong-un reportedly continuing to expand his nuclear program and missile testing, Donald Trump told UN Security Council ambassadors the status quo must change. The president has asked that new sanctions be placed on North Korea, something his predecessors attempted to implement with little success. But unlike his predecessors, Trump's latest moves suggest he is prepared to commit U.S. forces to North Korea should the state fail to comply with demands to stifle their nuclear program. That is according to a new report from Reuters. The president is doubling down on his efforts, hinting that he is indeed preparing military action. There's a new poll out. Americans support military-industrial complex above all else, and this is a new Morning Consultant / Politico survey published April 26th, several days ago, indicating that most American voters support the military-industrial complex. You got the MIC? Yeah, you know me. They support the military-industrial complex more than they support any other recipient of U.S. federal government spending. Over 2,000 American voters were asked in the poll a list of objectives that might be so important as to justify the government shutting down. So apparently there's a psyops going on right now within our country. What is worth the government shutting down? Protecting your nation from an EMP attack from North Korea? Because that's not going to be cheap, ladies and gentlemen. Being held hostage by a government military-industrial complex mafia using psychological operations and Alex Jones, the top provocateur in the alternative media, to frighten people that should be asking larger questions as to how North Korea got their weapons to begin with. But no, that's off the table. Hillary for president, Hillary uranium, Putin connection off the table. It was only to be talked about by the right when it was political season. It's not what they want you thinking about. It's not what they want you talking about when Donald Trump is showing no interest in pressing charges against a woman that he publicly supported in New York. There's pictures. Why was there denial? The Donald Trump Hillary connection that is still denied to this day. It's like the Obama supporters denying the Goldman Sachs connection to Obama when we talked about it. These people that say they love organic food, some of them voting for Obama. Yeah, what about Obama appointing the head of the Monsanto Corporation to head the agricultural department? And then we see mirror-like behavior from Donald Trump. But no. It's the deep dish pizza gate that's responsible for Trump's actions. Donald Trump's not really responsible for his actions. I don't know, man. Sure seems to have a different demeanor, they say. The Trump supporters say maybe they put a microchip in him. Yes. Ooh, here. Let's distract from the reality of what we're having to face with the Donald Trump deception. Let's go into flat Earth, everybody. I mean, let's go Planet X. Oh yeah. September 2017, baby, because it wasn't 2012, and it wasn't 2013, and it wasn't 2014, and it wasn't 2015, and it wasn't 2016. So you know what? It might as well be 2017. Economic collapse, XXX, flat Earth. Ooh, asteroid strike, just getting juicy with it. Lisa Haven style, biblical hellfire. Donald Trump the savior. Donald Trump the savior. What did they do to Donald Trump? What did they do to daddy, mommy? What did they do to daddy? And then people are literally having this nervous breakdown. Also in the news, China launches aircraft carrier, boosting their military presence. And see, it's increasing by the week. I can't keep up with all the headlines. I'm so busy, I can't post them to my other website, worldwarzero.com. But these reports are increasing, and the dumbed down masses laughs at China. They laugh at Russia, and they go, "Oh yeah, you got one or two, we got 20." And they don't realize they've already announced they're going to have hundreds of these things dispatched by 2020. And you try to explain this to someone, they have a plan by 2020. China, North Korea, and Russia will be at a certain military capacity. And the U.S. will be knocked down a few notches. And our militaries are going to be outspread around the world. We're going to be easier. They're going to be able to walk right into the United States like a bunch of gangsters spreading a woman's leg in a dark alley. I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot of protection at that point. China conducting military drills right as the THAAD system has been arriving in South Korea. Also something they don't talk about. China has been pissed at what's perceived to be an offensive weapon. That's how Russia sees the missile defense systems. And they're coming up on Russia's doorstep. They're coming up on China's doorstep. And this is happening as China announced the launch of another aircraft carrier. It's going to be fully functioning by 2020. There's going to be hundreds more. North Korea is going to have over 100 nukes. North Korea is going to have over 100 nukes. Meanwhile, we see fascism versus fascism, one could say. A GOP march was shut down by quote-unquote Antifa in Portland after threats. They literally threatened their members, saying they will be targeted. Fascism versus fascism. Step away from that civil unrest. Step away from taking sides. You can abstain from support of Donald Trump while abstaining from ridiculous behavior in the streets. And the last story, and probably the most significant, and I've been bringing this up time and time again because you have this 2020s plan for global world war, although they don't just come out and say that, but that's what I've been monitoring the last 10 years, this buildup for war by this time period. And they launch this massive global propaganda meme that human beings are going to be able to easily go off planet, colonize Mars. So as they prepare us psychologically to get these nationalistic mindsets, get ready for war, they're also preparing people, right? Mind control through these reports. The power of suggestion that they're going to have a way out of this mess and bloodshed on the earth by going to space. And I predict you're going to hear about this in the future. It's going to be a deception. And they're going to have the people that they want out in space, having certain genetics and DNA, eggs and sperm out in space. They may not be on Mars. They may not be on the moon. They may be floating it somewhere else. People on Earth, like something out of Total Recall or something like that. They're going to be getting one version of events from Mars. Everything's fine here. Everything's wonderful. And then there's going to be another version of events or another reality. What's happening to those women, where those women are living, whether or not that's actually them on the monitor saying, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Everything is really wonderful at our new colony. Look at the plants that we're growing. Everything is just right on schedule." How do we know that those people were still alive? So I want you to think really critically about this. We're facing a depopulation agenda, mutual assured destruction. Meanwhile, here we go with this last headline. Scientists claim that they have found a way to build on Mars. So they haven't actually proven that man has gone to Mars, but they're already like leaping forward with, "Oh, no, don't worry about it. We're going to have the technology to pull it out, to pull it off." Let's get you and the kids thinking already about growing food on Mars and building like your own, like, huts and, off-grid facilities on Mars. So it seems that the stage has been set. You have all this apocalyptic programming. And I did watch a movie, by the way, called The Happening, featuring Mark Wahlberg. Thanks to my friend in Texas that visited, that left this DVD. I try to stay away from the post-apocalyptic, but you hear the word terrorist mentioned like, 20, 30 times. No one knows what's causing people to kill themselves. It's something in the air. And the movie seems to indicate that nature is doing it. That nature is just fed up and releases a scent, a pheromone that the humans breathe, and immediately they're going for the fastest means of killing themselves. Jumping off a building, picking up a gun, killing themselves. Not so much homicide, but rather suicide. And I've contemplated psychological weapons being used on the American public, not necessarily even coming from our own government. Oh, they've done tests now, but they've also outsourced that technology. Picture a very sinister government or a Chinese or Russian army and certain areas being targeted with psychological weapons, either clear out those areas or to cause some disturbance. Now do you see why it's probably a little bit better to be maybe off-grid instead of some of these dense population centers? If anything, I want to set a good example that I'm doing my best to be an independent reporter, but to be independent from the corporations and to go independent from YouTube, even though I will still share content and share my ideas freely on YouTube. These are times in which people like myself need your support. And there's 3 ways you can support. You could support via PayPal. You could support by becoming a part of the family at Patreon. Doesn't matter if you only want to kick in $2 a month or $5 a month. It would be great to see a couple of new supporters at 10 or 20 a month. And that also really helps motivate me to keep this stuff on YouTube. The on-demand is an additional platform that I'm building, but I'm still putting content on both websites. I'm also open to hearing some feedback on another place to post for free my videos, but I'm just not going to keep feeding the beast. One reason the comment section is down is because I welcome your geopolitical tips. I welcome your thoughts on World War III. David, I want to thank you for sharing your dream on what you saw involving Putin in the forum over at alexansary.tv/forums, because we need to escape and exit the social media ghettos. And I'm trying to set a positive example. I'm Alex Ansary signing off for April 28th, 2017. Donation information at alexansary.tv/donate.